everyone, welcome back to Window Chats with Robyn. We've had a little bit of difficulty so far, but classic Instagram. So I have hope that this time it'll work and I'll be able to bring Jesse into this conversation. I'm feeling it. I'm sending out all the positive vibes. I see him. Okay. Yay. Hi, Jesse. I'm inviting you in. Here we go. Okay, be cool. I like to say be cool to myself because that's a positive affirmation of chill. Hi, thanks. I was rambling. Oh my God, Jesse, you match your headshot.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
That's so funny. I know this picture. This was on your poster. That's so funny.
That is so embarrassing.
I got the same background too. Wow, I mean, look, if we were doing a Zoom callback right now, I'd be like, this is who I wanted and this is what I'm getting. So this is, guys, model the casting. Okay.
I am going to lean into this and acknowledge the fact that I look like my headshot. Oh my goodness. Well, almost the headshot that I sent you, I'm like, oh, she needs a picture, so I just probably snap something. I'm trying to get a good.
It's great, and in that outfit. So there you go.
That's better. There we go. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you have a crazy day, so I appreciate any time you can give me. I'm so excited.
And likewise, thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, I was saying before, again, I deleted that first version, but I know you because you performed a monologue that I wrote, and I thought that was the coolest experience. Because first off, casting, being actors, what? But also, I've never heard my words said out loud, and I'm like, hey, this guy's pretty good. I'm like, oh, because you were an actor before, so you know what you're doing. But
it's easy when the words are good. It makes it that much more fun to play around with.
Jesse, you flatter me, sir. That's so funny. I'm so excited. Like anytime that casting is willing to chat with us actors, it's amazing. It's just, we're all people. And I think what the pandemic is making people realize, it's like we're all accessible and we all want to help each other out in this industry. So you're one of those casting directors, right? That right at the beginning of the pandemic, you said, hey guys, send me your work, open casting call, which I wonder if you regret because you must have gotten a lot.
There were, yeah. I mean, like, rightfully so. But it was a time when like nothing was happening for anybody. So I'm like, let's watch some stuff. I think, yeah, there were hundreds. Yeah.
Did you find any surprise talent from that?
I think that what I saw, just like people that like there were new discoveries, but also people that I was already familiar with, and then seeing them in a different light or working on material that they wanted to show me, like, to expand what I thought that they were capable of, or also like challenge themselves what they thought they were capable of. So that was really refreshing and exciting. That
is fun. I like that.
Yeah.
So project-wise now, what are you working on?
Oh my goodness. It's a really busy time. It's so exciting. I know that for a lot of people it's been a really tough go, and a lot of people in our industry it's been very difficult. Thankfully, to actors' credit and to all the producers in Toronto, things are still moving along here, which is great. So right now I'm just like looking at my Dropbox. I work on a variety of projects. So I've got a handful of commercials on the go right now. I'm doing an animated short. I'm doing a handful of features, a lot of like really cool indie, telefilm talent to watch stuff. Working on a video game, and I think, and then a digital series. So like kind of everything right now. It's
so
really,
you're a little busy.
It's a little bit busy, which is like I'm not complaining. I'd rather, especially right now when there's literally nothing else to do. There's nowhere to go. So I just acknowledge that I'm just going to kind of put my head down and work, and be very grateful for the opportunities that people have given me to work, as well as hopefully the opportunities I can give other actors to work in the next couple of weeks.
I love that. So you have a Zoom callback coming up. Do you like Zoom as a casting director? Are you a fan of the Zoom callback?
Well, we had been using Zoom since like the very beginning, since like March 14th of last year. We were doing Zoom callbacks. We've now switched over to Breakdown Express and Casting Workbook now have their own similar system. So we're now using that, which is a bit more secure. It's also a bit more easier for us on the casting side, because when you do a Zoom session, not to get technical, but you have to download everything, you have to relabel everything, and then upload it again to whatever casting platform you're using. So using one of their platforms is a lot easier. But to answer your question, I kind of love it and hate it. I think that I really enjoy and I miss the opportunity to actually work with actors in the room and chat and have good conversations and give notes and see direct feedback, which like you don't get from like a self-tape audition. But there is definitely something that's lost in the Zoom like translation through no fault of anyone's, just that it's a technology and you don't have that intimate kind of connection. So I like it because it can bring a lot of actors together and a lot of creative team, like my producers from, all across Canada. We can see people who might not have been able to see before. But there is something a little bit lost in it. So I'm very much looking forward to when we can get back together in the room. But in the interim, I think it's a good kind of Band-Aid solution.
For sure. Have you had any in-person audition callbacks, or is that just only online for you?
We had one. I've had one in the span of a year, and there was a gap when it felt safer to do so, and we were like legally allowed to do it. And it's only been one, and it was months and months and months ago. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
just
just
it's just not a risk that I don't think anyone wants to take. I mean, right now we can't, but until it's absolutely safe to do so, it just doesn't make any sense to do it when we can realistically do it safely and efficiently, virtually.
For sure. Yeah. And you know what? It's so interesting. I found, I mean, not to put you on the spot, but but I'm putting you on the spot, Jesse. In terms of people setting up their background, what's the weirdest thing you've seen? Like, have you seen someone's significant other coming out of the shower, or do you find people are a little more adept now at the online audition? I'm curious.
For the most part, people like understand it. Like, I think after a year of doing virtual auditions, they know how important just like a neutral background is. Like, it doesn't need, like, you have a beautiful backdrop there yourself. Everyone has that, and that's totally fine. But I've seen things of like, the actor auditioning and someone in the back, eating their dinner or like rolling a joint, or like just like kind of fun things like that, which like it's what it is. I mean, it's not ideal, but people are living on top of each other and working, and the living room becomes the office, the gym, the restaurant, everything. So it's our reality right now.
I almost think sometimes if I want to stand out, I just want to get my hubby to do something weird. Be like, just like have your hand there, and then be like, what is that hand? And then you want to watch it again to see it and be like, oh yes, now let's focus on the acting. So that could be a little ploy to be like, oh, let's watch it a couple times. Oh, I like her. She's growing on me.
Cooper's take. Don't make that your.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I have to say, you are. It's so funny as an actor. I remember I was trying out Zoom for the first time through like LB Acting Studios. They were trying that stuff out, and again, look, I know in my head you should never apologize for an audition, but I think I've done my worst auditions for you. And the support you give to actors, you're just like, you know what, Robyn, that was great. Let's actually try it better. But you say it really nicely. And I just admire you so much for that, because it's like I'm like, yes, that feedback, of course, do it well. But you don't say it that way. In my head, that's how I'm like, yes, that's what he meant. But right. It's such supportive feedback, and I really appreciate that. Because like actors, they get in their head and like, I don't know, here's my theater performance for an on-camera thing. Like, oh dear God.
Well, I empathize so much. I mean, as I said, this, I went to theater school, and when I graduated theater school, I had no idea what I was doing when it came to film and TV. I couldn't afford the classes, and I wasn't a go-getter enough to like get together with friends and actually work on it. So I kind of like really fumbled my way through film and TV auditions for a while. It also like prompted me. I just finished doing like kind of a crash course masterclass workshop for Ryerson Theatre School, which is my old theater school. Just kind of doing this, like just some basics. And to your point, like not, and this is what I told them. It's like, I'm not going to teach you how to be a better actor, because I'm not an acting teacher. Like there are people who specialize in that, and leave it to them. But what I can kind of do is like, let's talk about this and let's craft a good audition. and hopefully like by crafting good audition after good audition, you kind of see like what works and what doesn't, but also knowing that you're never gonna have a perfect audition, and all you can do is make your choices. And you know, I don't want to see 20 people doing the exact same audition. I want to see 20 people doing their audition. And then when you give me something, and I'm like, yeah, this, you know, yeah, you know, it's like the yes and yes, you did that. Let's go this way. Let's go this way. But you know, if it's like no, but like it's just no one. That's not gonna be fun for anybody.
But I love what you said. There's no perfect audition, right? And I think that's such a hard concept to grasp. Is like, okay, I have to nail this audition. It's no, just be your authentic self and bring whatever you can to that role. And it's so hard because I don't know, who am I today, right? That kind of identity crisis with each audition. So
Yeah, I think that's it. Just acknowledging like where you are, like in that moment, in that day, and there when people are like striving to make it perfect, like say a line perfectly, or if they fumble a line, they want to restart. It's like that stuff happens. Like I want to see who you are and make it a bit raw. And you know, if you're striving for perfection, then you're not really being present with your reader or like yourself or you know the world, whatever it is. I think it's important to acknowledge like, hey, this is where I'm at right now, and this is the best I can do. um, and the rest is history.
very true. Did anyone give you this advice when you were an actor? Like, what made you go from acting to casting? I'm really intrigued.
And those are two separate questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
No, no one really gave me that advice. I think that's just stuff like, or you know, they probably did. They actually probably did, and it didn't. I didn't understand it at the time. And for people listening right now, you probably just don't understand. You might not understand what I'm saying, but for those who've been doing it for a while, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or I can relate to that. Um, yeah, like journey into casting, you know, it's really my favorite story to tell. I was an actor, and you know, doing all the things an actor does to get by. I was, you know, doing promo work. I was bartending. I was serving, all those things. And then through a very weird turn of events, like you know, I could track it back, but this person, this person, this person, everything came to be that I was, Jason Knight asked if I wanted to be his reader for a session. And Jason Knight is like one of my favorite casting directors in the city. He's one of the most positive. I learned so much from working with him, but I was his reader, and we just like hit it off really well. And eventually I became his assistant. And then I was still kind of dabbling with acting, and I stepped away for a little bit and did some more acting. And then Stephanie Gorham reached out and was like, do you want to come be my associate? I was like, yeah, I think I do. Um, and then I worked with Stephanie, who's also like so incredible. She's a mentor. She's a colleague. She's a friend of mine. I call her for favors and questions all the time. Um, and eventually, after working with Stephanie, like small jobs started to come my way. You know, like, can you cast our short or low budget indie feature? And eventually like those small little side jobs, not small in terms of like their worth, but in terms of like what I could devote to them, like the time became more. So I was like, I think that I need to make a choice between, you know, doing my own thing or working for Stephanie. And then with her like full support, you know, we went our separate ways, and I started doing my own thing, and it's been over 2 years now. Yeah.
That's that's amazing. And I love that again, it's that support. And I think look, you send Stephanie an email, she gets back to you right away. That woman is very efficient. I have never I don't even think I hit send, and I'm like, how did she respond? So there's something to, and it's just working with good people, but also that you have a mentor. And I love that idea of you have someone that you can go to for advice. It's so important in this industry.
It is. Well, it's like you don't go to school to become a casting director, right? Like you learn it on the job, and there are so many things that can come up. Like just think of all the different scenarios of actors, and especially COVID right now, and things that can go wrong or things that can go right, contracts, negotiation, all those things. It can become a bit overwhelming. So with certainly Jason and Stephanie and Larissa Mayer's also been a huge support for me, and then actor as well. Like if I have a question, like that's what they're there for as well. They're not just this like, you know, beast of an organization. They're real people, and they're there to help, and they want their members to work. So it's I definitely have chats with them as well. Like I think it's just really important. Like, and I'm the first one to admit, like I don't know something. versus like pretending you know everything and then, you know, making a big mistake or really fucking up or something.
But it's not right. There's not one person that has all the answers. And that's, again, why I think I can always tell a project that worked well collaboratively versus, that was, they tried. That was an effort.
Yeah, and like our industry is collaborative. Everybody from like actors and casting to producers and, you know, the first ADs, like everyone has to work together. I always thought it's like our industry is very similar to like the restaurant industry, of which I spent like a long time working in. Like everyone has their jobs and everyone needs to do their jobs well. And even though sometimes you're working in what feels like a silo, knowing that like the work you do is going to impact everybody else, and if it's not like in sync, then, you know, things can go awry. But it's important to remind yourself that you are part of a team, especially with casting too, because, you know, I do have people that I work with now, but you do kind of work by yourself a lot of the time, which is like not what I had originally thought that I would enjoy. And I do like collaborating with people, but casting is kind of this sometimes isolating job. Sorry, is that too?
No, no. And I think that's fair, right? Like you're just sitting there and watching self tapes or doing whatever other stuff. This must be a lot of self tapes now. Do you see more people because you can? Or do you try and limit it? Okay.
No, I think, I mean, it's certainly a blessing and a curse. You know, whenever I'm like making my selections, I'm also I'm always acknowledging like every time I click a button, that's another actor that has to devote like their Saturday or their like evening or, you know, getting their partner. Like I'm just hyper aware. Also, because my last like roommate was an actor and we would always do self tapes and I love her to death. But it's like when she got a self tape, it's like the world kind of has to stop for a little bit, do your thing. So I'm just like really aware that when I ask for a self tape of what it's asking of the actor, but on the same note, I'm like, oh, they could be good, they could be good, they could be good, they could be good. And, you know, this way I probably see more people than maybe I should, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm genuinely considering them for the role, and I want to make sure that, you know, I see as many people as I can, and also that I see as many new people as like kind of my bandwidth allows.
I love that. It's like giving those people opportunities that you wouldn't normally see. And that's amazing. And that's part of why you're awesome. That's, but no, it's so nice, right? Oh, have you ever found that one person that you're kind of like, oh, you know what? It's not exactly what my client was asking for, but I think that this is what they might want, and then that worked out.
Yeah.
Did that happen? Okay, because I hear people saying that, but I never know if that works out. Okay.
No, it's the absolute best feeling, and that's what I tell like my clients when I'm working with them. I'm like, you've written out you're either your breakdown or we've created a breakdown together, a character description. You told me what this person is, and I can show you 20 people of exactly what you want to see, but like that's really boring for everybody, you know, because then you just have exactly what you want, and I don't know, I just don't think that that's like the most creative and collaborative way of doing it. So I'm like, I'll show you a bunch of people that fit the mold you're asking for, but then I'll like pepper in some other people, like, but they're also just like really good and like completely different. And when that works out, and then also that's a matter of like trust and collaboration between myself and the producers and writers and directors to make sure we're on the same page. But it's really fun when I'm like, what about this person? And they're like, yes, that's exactly it. We have to rewrite stuff or we have to change things, or that changes everything, but you know, we're into it. Like that's a really great feeling.
For sure. And you know what I love? I've heard, or at least a friend of mine told me that you were casting student films, right? So like you're working on these huge productions, but you're also doing student films, and I love that. And I don't know how it works with student films. I mean, I don't know what their budget is, but the fact that you're working with students, but then you can also work on this awesome video game. It's just such a wide array of being able to
Yeah,
work with different people. Yeah.
I think that that's exactly it, is that, you know, it's for the student films, like it's not a student film to them. Like that's like their pride and joy that they've been working on for, you know, weeks or months. I mean, it's also really self-serving because in a way, like these are the next filmmakers, that's the next generation. So why not like take an opportunity to do some mentoring with them and some collaboration with them? And hopefully, you know, in 15 years, they have $20 million, they want to make a feature, and then they call up Jesse Griffiths. But if they don't, that's okay too. Like, but you know, that's not why I do it. But it allows me to just connect with the younger generation, to give them opportunities and show them actors they might not have access to give them a better product in the end. And it's another opportunity for me to see actors. So it's kind of like a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And it's true, you never know where people are going. But I found, when you work on a final project from a student film, some of these filmmakers, they're amazing. I'm like, this is such a vision. I went on a journey with them. I don't think
Yeah,
there should be a stigma for these student films all the time. And it's a great experience for actors.
yeah, I think, especially now when things might be slower for some actors doing those projects, assuming that they're safe in terms of COVID protocols and whatnot.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's good to be working and to keep fresh, to have something to add on to your demo. And I did it the last, I just finished doing some student films for Sheridan. And like their directors were so intelligent and creative and really grounded. And I'd never really, done this part of a casting process with a casting director like present in the room. And they were all just so gracious. And it was, what I also did was did a crash course on like how to run a session, So I'm like, let's also teach this next generation of filmmakers how to properly treat actors in the room in terms of like just being like respectful and engaged and attentive and those things. Some things that we might not, I'm sure you've experienced. I know I experienced walking into rooms that were kind of cold and less receptive. And I think that people don't do their best work there. So I was like, this is an opportunity to kind of mold the next generation into how I think we should be treating actors and collaborators when they come into the room.
Absolutely. And again, I just think you're such a progressive casting director because I know you're also doing this do better programming, and I wanted to make sure we talked about that. And
Yes.
if you could just give people a rundown, I know it says it on your website, but I just think it's such a great idea.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. The Do Better like monthly programming is kind of workshops geared directly and specifically for like Toronto's BIPOC community. And I always lose track of how many we've done now, but it's been roughly since the beginning of the pandemic. Once a month, we bring in guests, or sometimes it's just myself and Ezad, but we do specific workshops. So we have panels from writers and directors and agents, other casting directors, and or sometimes just myself, and we're giving notes on audition material. Auditioning will resume. Sometimes we have like submit your self-tapes, and we'll send you back some notes. What we usually do if it's like a live kind of interactive thing is we'll have like 6 to 8 active participants, and then we'll have anywhere from 20 to 50 people just auditing. And the people who are participating will get their material at the end of the class workshop, whatever you want to call it. But it's a great opportunity once again for me to see fresh faces as well as work with new people, and discover like a huge the wealth of talent that's in this city that might not necessarily be always submitted to me on breakdowns, or might not even be represented. But I'm like, oh, you're actually pretty good. Let's chat. Why don't you have an agent? Having those kind of sidebar chats as well. So if anyone's interested in checking it out, it is on our website at jessegriffithscasting.com/do better. I think that's I think if you Google it, it should come up, but that's roughly it. And also on I think right now I'm on my private Instagram, but on my Instagram account, it has access to all that stuff too. And also, I think it's for anyone watching, for actors as well, if you are unrepresented or non-union, any stuff that I am doing for open calls is always posted on our Instagram and website as well. So it's good to check out.
It's great. So I'll try and tag everything accordingly. I hope I'm still,
Yeah.
Instagram is what it is. You can't do websites. That's just a sidebar of technology and frustration. But
Yeah.
I digress there. I just want to thank you. I know I wanted to be I have the clock and we're coming on our time.
I can give 5 more minutes
Oh gosh. I feel like I have so much I want to discuss, but okay, actually a fun question.
Yeah.
Because you've cast so much, is there a dream project that you want to cast? Is there something, because again, you've cast quite a bit.
That's a really great question. I would definitely love to get into, more TV, episodic TV, police procedural type thing would be great. But what I really want to cast, I think it'd just be a lot of fun. I want to cast Drag Race. that is a dream project for me to cast, and complete like diversion from what I normally work, but to cast like Drag Race Canada would be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot of fun. How does that work? Is it reality technically, right?
Yeah, I mean they have like reality, casting directors for that. So like the job's already taken, but if anyone's watching, if you haven't like any connections, like that would be a dream job. And I mean, I've already done, I think, 2 or 3 projects that require drag queens, and it is honestly the most fun thing to do. To be in those, like when we could be in the rooms, with these like professional queens who like take your breath away and are just like uber talented and so friendly. But also I've done a couple of virtual sessions with them as well. It's just a lot of fun.
I mean, look, I watched these shows. There's a lot of talent there too.
Oh my,
I
there's so much talent. And my good friend and agent friend Daniel Brunbaum just launched his Vision Arts. It's a specifically agency devoted to drag queens, and he's now representing them through like under the umbrella of Talent House. So that's really cool, and getting some proper representation for these queens. It is a business out there, and I think that they need to make sure they're all actually properly represented as well.
yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen them on a roster. That's amazing. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh, Daniel and I go way back, but he's doing some great things too. Everyone that I've known when they were young, and I'm like, they all grow up. I'm like, oh, I remember you when you were this tall, or some kind of old grandmother in me. But yes.
Daniel was my last agent, the very last agent before I kind of stepped away. And good friend, and I've relied on him to, like, he does like my channel chats, panel chats, panel chats, chat pats. We had one at Ryerson that day, and I'm on the Do Better monthly programming as well, because he has a wealth of knowledge that's just really great to share.
For sure.
He'd be good at window
That
chats, not to throw him under the bus, but he should reach out to him.
I'll reach out and be like, excuse me, hello, Daniel. I don't know if you remember me from characters back in the day of our musical theater, but Jesse suggested this, and this was discussed in a live, so we're putting you on the spot.
So it's
You're cutting out a bit. We were doing so well. Oh dear, it might be my end. Classic technology fails. Oh no.
I don't know. Better?
You know what? Honestly, maybe my phone is set to like a 30-minute timer, and it's like, no, Robyn, I know you can keep talking, but we have to respect that Jesse is busy. So that's what's happening with technology right now. It's been decided. Okay. But you are getting a lot. I'm not ignoring any of the comments. There's a lot of love for you in the chat. There's a ton of hearts, a lot of amazing comments.
Oh my goodness.
You just being awesome, and do better programming and just good stuff. A lot of hearts. Not ignoring that. Just trying to.
Am I still choppy?
It's totally fine. A little bit, but again, totally fine, because we're just gonna call it. We're just gonna end it. It's cool. Thank you all for watching. Jesse, thank you so much for doing this. It was so nice to chat with you, and best of luck with all your projects. A lot going on, and setting up positive vibes for the drag race. I have a feeling. Cross fingers.
One day.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Sounds good. Bye.